Hey guys, welcome to the video. So what are the biggest lessons of 2020? So I'm recording this January 2, 2021. So from my perspective, what were the biggest lessons that developers, and I think everybody can take from 2020? Number one, we've seen that the older established technologies like Python and JavaScript and PHP and SQL and HTML and all these kind of things, they're holding strong. They're holding strong in terms of their position. In fact, the languages that are rising to the top of a stack in terms of utilization are the old established languages like JavaScript, like Python. Even PHP saw, according to Indeed.com, I did a video on this recently, they saw an 800% growth in PHP jobs this year, the biggest growth of any language. Now you'd figure old PHP, 20-something, almost 30-year-old language, you figure, woof, that would be falling behind. But in fact, the opposite is happening. It goes to what I've been saying for years now. I think that largely the web stack and the software development stacks are pretty well established now. They're pretty good. And for a new technology to replace an old, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. They have to be that much better. The big change really is, in terms of software, of course, is the DevOps and the server sophistication. Server deployments are much more sophisticated than they were before. So that's where you might want to be concerned with. All right, so let's get outside of code. Another big lesson we've learned, the big gorilla in the room, of course, is COVID. Now, COVID taught us a few things. It taught us that distance work and distance education and distance everything is actually extremely viable. And with every month, it gets more and more viable because computers are faster, internet is faster, and the only thing really that was holding the adoption of a remote type of environment was just culture and people just used to doing what they're doing. But now they're realizing, even big organizations like banks and so forth, they're realizing, no, you know what? This remote work thing works. So this is going to be great if you're concerned about the environment. Even if 25-30% of the people stop going into work every day, it's going to have a huge impact in terms of your environmental concerns, which is good. Everybody likes a clean environment. But it's also good for health and stress, right? If you don't have to sit in a car for an hour each way every day or 5 days a week, that's fantastic too. So I welcome this. Of course, people who know me know this has been my lifestyle since the 1990s. I never thought it made sense to have to work at an office. So, I was fortunate enough to be an entrepreneur all my life, so I didn't have that issue. I just, I had, once upon a time, I had a separate office, and I got rid of that pretty quickly for various reasons. But that's another story. So COVID has pushed that forward, but it's also made something else that we all know and knew, but it's very clear now. Your physical health has a lot to do with how well you're going to do. So as far as I understand, and it's not politics, just science, if you're out of shape, if you're overweight, they call it underlying conditions, heart problems, diabetes, that means you're overweight, right? You're out of shape. You're much more likely to succumb or be hit hard with COVID. Again, there's always exceptions. I knew this guy, but when you're looking at anything, you learn, if you do any of the sciences, you learn that you can't look at the anecdotal things, the one-off examples here and there. You have to look at the big picture to really get an idea of what's going on. So, we've learned that to protect yourself best from COVID, you want to be in shape. You want to be healthy. Besides just normal etiquette. Something I pointed out, I gave this tip years ago before COVID. I talked about this. Many years ago, I'd said to myself, I'm tired of I would get colds and flus and stuffy noses and all kinds of stuff like that every winter season, twice a year, like clockwork, like so many people do. So what I started doing is I started wearing wool gloves, just standard wool gloves. And with wearing of the wool gloves, I haven't been sick since. Not since. So whenever I go outside, spring, summer, not spring, fall, winter, and spring, I wear the gloves. And so I'm pressing on elevator buttons, I'm wearing my gloves. I'm opening doors, I'm wearing my gloves. Everything, pushing. I'm just walking around with these wool gloves, not surgical gloves, just your standard wool gloves. And I didn't like shaking hands. I would fist bump, or I would just wave to people. And lo and behold, I haven't been sick in 10, 15 years. So it's something I've lost track of the exact amount of time. So keep that in mind. Just a bit of social distancing, wearing gloves, washing up, and getting in shape is going to help you a lot. So that's a big lesson we've learned about COVID in 2020. It reminds us of something we've all known. If you're in shape, you're healthier, you're going to live a much better life. I'd rather be poor and healthy. I'd rather be poor and healthy than rich and sick. No question. If you're in constant pain, you could have $100 million in the bank or be a billionaire. If you're constant pain, life is crappy. And so, I would suggest that if you're not there, I would make efforts to get in shape. In fact, in my mentoring program, I am including a small module, a little bit of training I'm calling Automatic Health. Simple things you can do without going to a gym or getting onto a big program, just little life changes you can do to start getting yourself a little bit healthier. Because as a developer, you're sitting at the desk all day, you're typing, not exactly the healthiest thing. So little things you can do almost automatically to help you out. With that in mind, I have a friend of mine who's putting together a program on getting in shape and all this stuff, and he's looking to take on maybe about 10 people for free. So free consultations, free program. And the reason he's doing this is because he wants to develop a program that eventually he's going to put out there commercially. But first 10 people, hit me up. I'll put a link below this video, and I can set you up with him, and it's free. And you'll be able to start working on, it's not just it's health, it's the habits, nutrition, et cetera, et cetera. So for example, with myself, at my heaviest a long time ago, I was about 50 pounds heavier than I was today. And at some point I said, I got to stop doing this. So I started doing some simple things to lose that weight, and I lost quite a bit of weight. And I'm going to teach this stuff in my mentoring program. But, reducing the intake of sugars and carbs, intermittent fasting, drinking more water, mild exercise on a regular basis, like mild stuff like just walking briskly every day for half an hour. It helps a lot. Stuff like that, basic push-ups. Anyway, there's things you can do that could get you into health very quickly. I know there's a lot of health programs. What I'm going to teach is more structured towards hardcore developers. So here's your opportunity to get private training with a friend of mine. He was 300 pounds, type 2 diabetes, a big fat guy, heavy guy for most of his life. And then he got diabetes and he felt like crap. So he said he had to change something. So he went into it big time, and he's lost the weight for 5 years now. He's not coming back. He's in fantastic shape, the best shape of his life. He's in his late 30s now, I believe. And so he wants to take on people, and he just wants to get people in shape. Again, he's going to be using you guys to sort of help structure his program, which worked for him. And by the way, I consulted with him as well, because prior to working with him, I just had to make some tweaks that he helped me with in terms of my diet and so forth. And now I'm back down to pretty much my college weight. I'm within BMI, which BMI is short for body mass index. Not the most accurate, but at least gives you an indicator of where you want to be in terms of your weight relative to your height. And I'm there now, back to basically where I was in college, whereas when I had done it on my own before, I was kind of weakened at that point. I was like pretty tired and weak. But with some tweaks that he suggested, I'm now there again. And I was able to lose about 18, 20 pounds that I had put on in the last 5 years. I took them off in the last 3-4 months pretty easily, and it was without much effort, without having to go to a gym like crazy or anything like that. So anyway, there you go. That's it for this video. Those are the lessons of 2020. The tried and true technologies of the web are still strong. And not just the web, C, C++, Java, JavaScript, C#. These are 20-year-old tech, 20, 30-year-old tech or older, right? Number two, we learned that health is so important. Shutting down the economies around the world to try to preserve health. But at the end of the day, we do know that if you are healthy physically, you're much less likely to succumb to COVID and anything else, by the way. There's all these other illnesses that are related to weight, right? So I don't want to get political, but it's the science. Okay, so there you go. So click on the link below if you're interested, and I will hook you up with the guy. And again, no cost to you, no cost to you. So if you're thinking about losing some weight and doing it in a smart way that's not hard, and you want to feel better physically, and so mentally and emotionally as a result, healthy body, healthy mind, as they say, it's true, trust me. Just let me know and I'll hook you up. It's only about 10 people, so whoever decides they want to go, if you're interested, click, because I'm sure people are going to click in. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.